I want to give a big shout out to Mike's Camera. The Dublin store allowed me to borrow this lens for a couple of days to bring this review to you guys. Hey everyone, Robert Silver here, and today I'm bringing you a photo shoot review of the Sigma 135mm f1.8 DG art lens. The Sigma 135mm f1.8 art lens is a full-frame lens with APS-C compatibility. Now, for portrait photographers, without a doubt, at this focal length, you're going to create Bokeh-licious, stunning images. Now, this lens may not be for everybody, but the results can't be denied. To see what this lens is all about, I put this lens through 3 portrait photography scenarios: family photos, personal portraits, and a model fashion shoot. Now, I want to let you know the only light source I used was natural ambient light. No pocket flash, no studio strobe, not even a reflector. I wanted to test the overall performance of this lens under different conditions in which any average portrait photographer may find themselves in. The Sigma 135mm f1.8 DG HSM Art is a medium-range telephoto prime lens designed for modern high-megapixel DSLRs. A new large hypersonic motor delivers ample torque to the focusing group for outstanding speed, ensuring exceptionally stable performance even at lower speeds. The state-of-the-art prime lens touts a dust and splash-proof mount for guaranteed performance in any condition, and its large 1.8 aperture allows for more creative control over imagery. A stunning compression effect makes the Sigma 135mm f1.8 Art the ideal portrait lens. The compression at this focal length will ensure that you will produce that magnificent creamy bokeh effect. Though this focal length is very tight, through each scenario, all 3 of them, family photos, personal portraits, and the model fashion shoot, I never felt like I was too close. I always had enough room to back up, and I was able to complete each shoot without having to feel like I desperately needed to change my lens. Now, while shooting these 3 scenarios, one thing that I really did enjoy is that at this focal length, though it's a bit tighter, it forced me to be more creative with my composition in order to create a diverse array of images so they're not all shot at the same distance, same perspective, height, meaning there were times where I dropped to my belly, dropped to my knee, or got on top of an object to get a little bit higher, come in closer, come in tighter, and I really enjoyed that. It was kind of like when I first started doing photography with film, I had to really worry about the overall composition in a shot before I took it. And that's what I kind of felt like shooting at this length did for me. It really forced me to be more artistic. It forced me to think more and to plan more before I took that shot. So that was definitely a benefit. It forced me to be more creative. Now, I just want to let you know I got the sharpest, most cleanest results when I had my Nikon D810 on AFS, autofocus single servo. Now, another great thing about this lens is that with an aperture of 1.8, you can undoubtedly capture some fantastic images in low light situations. Now, that was some good news. Here's a little bit of bad news. The first thing is that I tend to get more blurry, more misfocused images when shooting in APS-C mode using my Nikon D810. Now, when I'm in continuous, I usually tend to keep it about 3D tracking, and it's pretty spot on. I mean, the D810 is a solid camera. The focus mode, like, it's so reliable. It's always there. But for some reason, when I was shooting the children as they were running around during the family session, it was just misfiring focus. So I said, okay, maybe it's a little bit because the kids are moving too fast for this focal length. Then when I shot a model later on that day using the same focus mode, it would look like it's about to track on the face and all of a sudden get the ear or got some object next to them. It was a little too off for me to consider that using this lens at that focus mode a reliable way of capturing my images. I definitely could not brag to you about the autofocus speed of this lens, not at all. Now, on their website, they say it's a sports photography lens as well as weddings and portraits and fashion and all the above. But honestly, I would comfortably, wholeheartedly put my name on this lens if you need it for beauty, fashion, weddings, and portraits. This lens is magnificent. But if you think just because of the nice focal range. You want to use this for sports. I just don't, it just never focused fast enough for me to even capture kids running around in the playground. It just wasn't it. But honestly, it doesn't bother me not one bit, because that's not why I would buy this lens. I'd buy this lens for creating beautiful portraits. It's just that simple. The last disadvantage, which is really not a bad point, you know, it's not a fault of the lens, it's obvious because it's a 135mm lens that you only can get so close. So with that said, you have to use your 5-point toe zoom, meaning your feet, and back up. So depending on the situation and the environment you're in, that might be a bit limiting this kind of a lens because it's so in the face. But you know, overall, like I said, with those 3 photo shoots, I had no problem finding enough distance and getting creative. Where I couldn't back up, maybe I'll get higher, maybe I'll get lower, maybe I'll tell the subject do this, do that. And again, going back to one of my solid points about this lens is that it forced me to just get more creative. Okay, so now it's time for a little bit of my own personal subjective opinions about this lens. Now, I recommend that if you're shooting with only ambient light, that I would personally never drop lower than 1/160th of a second in my shutter speed. I noticed that it performed a little bit better. With that focal length, any vibration by the time you hit your subject is going to be even a bigger shake. Even though it may not seem like a lot, it will end up, you will notice it when you go into Lightroom. You get in, zoom in close, you're going to see the blurriness way more. So I got a lot more better results. Heck, I kept it over 320th of a second just to ensure sharp, crisp image. Now, as I said earlier, this may not be the fastest lens on the market, but who cares? This is not the reason why I would recommend this lens. I would proudly put my name on this lens and recommend it to any beauty, fashion, event, wedding, or even portrait photographer. Now, as a loyal Nikon shooter, if I had a chance between the 105mm 1.4 at $2,200 versus the Sigma f1.8 lens at only $13.99, well, guess what? The Sigma wins, because during the past few years, the Sigma art lenses, produce fantastic images at many times half the price of Nikon or even a Canon. So if you got the money, hey, feel free, go spend that extra. But in this case, I'm saving about $800 by going with the Sigma and producing just as beautiful results as the Nikon 105 f1.4 lens. No, you don't have to take my word for it. So with that said, I posted the direct link down below for you to check out the specs and the details of this lens, and feel free to go order it for yourself. But if you don't want to order it, feel free to go borrow it, figure out if this lens is for you, and then post your comments down below. Let me know what you think about it. What's your favorite portrait lens? What's your favorite focal length? Post those answers down below. I'd love to hear from you. Subscribe to stay tuned if you want to see more videos about portrait and fashion photography. I'm Robert Silver from robertsilverphotography.com. Until next time, keep shooting, stay creative.